Dana Jacobson from CBS Saturday Morning. Welcome to The Dish. Today we meet three pastry chefs whose sweet creations are winning over hearts and appetites. We join a former model who traded the catwalk for the kitchen, infusing Asian flavors into French-style pastries with a global twist. Then we visit a self-taught baker whose passion project, inspired by her grandmother's love for baking, has grown into a Baltimore favorite. But first, a patisserie bringing a taste of Paris to Brooklyn. After mastering the art of French baking, chef and owner Jete Kearsley made it her mission to make indulgence accessible. By accepting EBT and SNAP while offering treats at a variety of price points, she stays true to her motto, everything for everybody on every budget. Michelle Miller went to see it for herself.
There's a taste of Paris in the heart of Brooklyn.
All of this is for you?
Yes, it is.
All right. Hello, good morning. As soon as you walked in these doors, I wanted to transport you to France.
The croissants, danishes, cinnamon rolls, and much more take you there. Welcome to Je t'aime patisserie. Owner Jete Kearsley.
Je t'aime actually means I love you. Who knew that I would be here with this patisserie?
At some point, she did. This Queens, New York native grew up baking for her younger siblings while her single mom was at work.
They were my taste testers, my experiments, yes.
Those experiments began with a pantry staple.
I would take the box cake mix and add everything, sprinkles, fruit, frosting, cinnamon, everything to make something different.
Soon she started experimenting, selling her cupcakes beyond friends and family.
No one knew that it was from the box.
She eventually ditched those box cakes, trained as a savory chef in culinary school before living out a lifelong fantasy.
Since a teenager, watching a lot of romantic comedies, you always see them kissing on the Eiffel Tower or just in Paris sitting on the grass. I actually went there for 4 months with me and my friend to just do some research, and we ate.
That sparked her desire to teach herself the art of French lamination, the age-old baking technique that creates those flaky layers in pastries like croissants, which fly out of her shop each day.
We're selling about 80 to 100 croissants.
80 to 100.
Just plain chocolate, ham, almond croissants. Started out with that tiny piece of dough.
I found out firsthand the bestseller isn't easy to make.
I call it a bicycle.
Okay.
That's what I've been taught to call it. It's probably some fancy name, but I don't got time for that. So this is really to just give you accurate croissants all the time.
Oh.
Yeah. Go from that corner to this corner. And I'll go from this corner to that corner.
Oh.
So let me show you a trick. You only want to use the tip of the knife.
Oh, that's easy.
It took me 3 years to learn how to make croissants, so I promise you I'm not judging anything that you make right now. How you doing? I go by a slogan, we have everything for everybody on every budget.
Still, business was slow those first few months. Locals thought it was just another storefront, gentrifying this once predominantly black neighborhood, driving up rents while offering few options they could afford. But that wasn't the case. That's when she began accepting EBT and SNAP benefits, public assistance, from her customers.
When you found out that you could use food stamps here?
I just came in one day.
And you just used it?
Yeah.
When I was telling other business owners about it, they were like, no, you shouldn't do that.
Why?
It's gonna bring all of those people into your store. And I was like, I don't know.
I'm those people.
No, I'm so serious, because I remember my mom having food stamps. Those people are my people.
Ever since, her people now include visitors from across the country. And if you think you're going to come and get the same items all the time, think again. Kearsley changes the menu every 3 months.
Every time you come in here, I want you to say, oh, I didn't see that last time.
The community is embracing this bakery that's offering a respite and a brief escape to the city of love.
People ask me all the time, why did I put this bakery here? It's because this type of food isn't available in this neighborhood. So I want to make sure that not only am I giving them quality food, but variety all the time.
Up next, a globe-trotting chef infusing Asian flavors into worldly pastries. From the runway to the kitchen, former model turned chef Clarice Lam found her true passion not in fashion, but in flavor. Growing up between Los Angeles and Hong Kong, food was a way to stay grounded between two worlds. After years of modeling, she traded designer looks for desserts and enrolled in the French Culinary Institute in New York. Her cookbook, Breaking Bao, pays homage to her roots while pushing the boundaries of tradition. Nancy Chen sat down to explore her unique approach to pastry.
We're rice rolling over here. Look at that.
In the kitchen and out, Clarice Lam knows how to roll with the punches.
So there's your rice roll.
The chewy snacks made exactly like the ones Lam used to enjoy in Hong Kong.
Oh, wait, hang on. Okay. What do you think? That's good.
A simple pleasure for the chef that she shares in her new cookbook, Breaking Bao, the Chinese word for buns. Her colorful and inventive recipes for baked goods like a mochi lamington and gochujang pizza rolls, bringing together sweet and savory tastes from around the world that still have a hint of home.
I love what you wrote in the book about how oftentimes food seems weird, but it's really just unfamiliar.
Growing up, people thought everything I ate was weird, everything I did was weird. I realized that it's more of a, I'm unfamiliar with what you're doing, or I've never experienced that before. It's something new, but you've never heard of these things before, but you eat it and then it reminds you of something from your own personal history.
Lam says her history has always been that of an outsider, as she split her childhood between Los Angeles and Hong Kong, unable to fit in anywhere.
Food was like my lifeboat. It was the thing that just like kept me interested and just kept inspiring me like over and over again.
That inspiration continuing into adulthood, resulting in the joyful innovation on display at our table, with dishes like a crispy yet chewy focaccia topped with pork floss and scallions.
This is delicious. Thank you.
A lot of this is about texture, too.
Textures are very important to me. Like a variation on textures creates interest.
There's also chocolate-filled bombolancini, a spin on sesame balls traditionally served at dim sum.
I put a Ferrero in the middle.
An entire one?
An entire Ferrero Rocher, because they're very fancy. You know, at least in Chinese culture, like every time you go to a family gathering or a holiday or any kind of celebration, like the gift to bring is like a giant, the bigger the box of Ferrero Rochers, the better, right?
How do you eat this?
You just munch it like this. Ah.
I see it. We're so fancy.
Chinese barbecued pork, roasted carnitas style, packed baked buns that Lam says remind her of Mexican conchas. The pastry chef also borrowed inspiration straight from her childhood kitchen, like in Mama Lam's coconut croissants.
So this one is named after your mom.
And one of my best food memories is that my mom used to always make these coconut buns, or a gai mei bao in Chinese. My sister and I, because we were kids, we'd be like, I'm gonna make a ravioli. No, I'm gonna make a worm, or whatever. So now that I'm an adult and I don't want to make worm-shaped things, I was like, I made it look like a croissant, but this is actually my mom's recipe, just in a different shape.
These dishes are so creative. Where did these ideas come from?
You know, it really just comes from having lived all over the world and craving things that I've eaten in one part of the world. And then also I'm like, oh, you know what? That would taste good with this from another part of the world.
Lam picked up those flavors in quick succession, starting at age 16 after becoming a model and living in Paris, London, Ibiza, Florence, and beyond.
Cape Town, South Africa, Hong Kong, Cebu in the Philippines, in La Mission in Mexico, Los Angeles, Toronto, San Francisco, New York.
Did you just name all the cities in the world?
I think so.
Surrounded by high fashion, it wasn't the clothing Lam fell in love with overseas, but the pastries.
I think it was a combination of my agent telling me to only eat an apple a day and that's it. So I wanted to rebel and be like, no, I'm gonna eat all of the things and not just apples.
All the things.
All of the things. I just remember like walking past all of these like bakeries and looking at all of the laminated doughs and being like, how many layers are in there, and like trying to like visibly like count them. And I mean, I was totally intrigued and I was so obsessed with them. And that's really what made me want to get into pastry.
In her mid-20s, she moved on from modeling and enrolled in the French Culinary Institute in New York, earning her Grand Diplôme in classic pastry arts.
I wanted to learn what it's like to work with chocolate, then I wanted to learn, what it's like to work with like lamination and viennoiserie. I just wanted to be the most well-rounded pastry chef that I could be. I didn't want to be a one-trick pony. I felt like a lot of people maybe didn't take me seriously when I first started if they knew that I came from a modeling background.
That knowledge eventually vaulted her into some of the country's most respected kitchens, like Thomas Keller's Bouchon and Jean-Georges' Spice Market. Lam's talent stood out, her whimsical creations today bridging the gap between Asian flavors and global techniques.
And I'm going to pluck out the flowers.
Lam's dedication to celebrating both on display at the center of our table, a chiffon roll with jackfruit.
You've got a chiffon cake, right? Like a chiffon style like French cake, a Latin style of flan that's now Filipino, and then you have Southeast Asian fruit in there, jackfruit. So wow.
It's ube foundation, a Filipino staple similar to a sweet potato.
It's a little bit like cotton candy-ish and a little bit vanilla-y too, and coconut-y. There's nothing else in the world that tastes like ube. It's finally getting the attention that it deserves because it's purple.
It's purple. That's the only reason why. Well, purple tastes delicious.
For Lam, it's about celebrating these ingredients from around the world while also bringing her own story full circle.
What does it mean to you to share these recipes with other people?
The biggest reward, I think, is being able to see people eat your food and enjoy it. Like nothing makes me happier than that.
Next up, an entrepreneur who went from community housing to a bakery with a view. Self-taught baker Amanda Mack turned her childhood memories of Southern baking into a thriving business. From crab pies to cheddar grits, her menu at Crust by Mack honors her Southern heritage while creating opportunities for youth mentorship and food access. Michelle Miller learned how she's turning her family-inspired food into a legacy.
We have biscuits also.
When it comes to baking, Amanda Mack is meticulous in measure,
That's supposed to be so good.
consistency,
The champagne is on its way.
and the stuff you can never quite put your finger on.
The apples are, I'm like, they're amazing.
I think my cooking style is very soulful. I just cook from feeling. Stories and nostalgia inspire the dishes that I create.
What if you're having a bad day?
If I'm having a bad day, I don't cook.
That sums up a baker who launched Crust by Mack in the summer of 2020.
We opened during the pandemic.
Good morning.
People were looking for a reason to get out, and we made it the thing to do.
No wonder, considering the treats she offers up, an assortment of sweet and savory confections that make the mouth water.
It's just something about you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into it. You can taste that. You can taste when you're baking from a place of love.
And without it, well, Max says, what's the point?
Biscuits, rolls, cornbread. We also have a crust on everything that we make.
Crunchy.
Crunchy, caramelized. It feels good. It makes you feel good. It's a safe space.
Mack yearned for safe spaces growing up in the McCullough homes of West Baltimore. She found them there, too.
It really was a place that I learned the importance of sticking together, of pulling people up when you rise, about supporting each other. So how old were you when you learned how to make biscuits, Grandma?
I was 13 when I started cooking. I used to be in the kitchen with my mother all the time.
That support began with her own family. While not a formal culinary education, one based on years of experience and technique.
My grandmother makes these biscuits, It's one of my favorite things. She made them every morning at 5 a.m. She would get up and make them for school. And she would make them with these mason jars. You would hear her pressing the biscuits into the dough, and it would just make this poof sound.
Oh, did you hear that?
See? That's what I used to hear in the middle of the night.
You put holes in the top to let the steam out?
Her grandmother, Yvonne Roy, still comes by every day to help out.
You are living your grandmother's dream.
I really am. I think just being able to live through this with me is something that she never really imagined in this scale. But the fact that she's a part of the process every step of the way is something that she's able to bask in and just be really proud of.
The former marketing maven took a leap of faith in 2018, selling pastries at pop-ups, coffee shops, and events, earning a devoted following and a reputation for funding good causes, including the Maryland Food Bank, while also setting up spaces to mentor young people.
Giving back to my community is a really big thing because I was once in that position where mentorship matters, access to opportunities, access to funding, all of those things play a part. So now that I'm in a position to be an inspiration and be support, it's really important that I do that. These are the crowd favorites and my favorites.
Engaging with her community has helped Mac make her dreams a very tasty reality.
Grits are the bomb, okay?
From her cheddar grits and broiled salmon cakes to her famous oversized breakfast egg souffle sandwiches.
It has a maple turkey sausage, our souffle egg, which is chef's kiss.
Her fried catfish over Cajun cream grits with pink Himalayan Tabasco salt and crab pie stuffed to the brim are fan favorites.
You see everything is brown, everything has a crust to it, you know, beautiful color.
I might just have to taste a little bit of this crust. Oh my goodness. By far the best crust I have ever had. And I've been doing a lot of these. I'm telling you.
But leave room for dessert.
Our birthday crust this is our origin story here. We make this wild berry jam on the inside.
Okay. I'm gonna get the crust and
the crust, yes. The edges are always my favorite parts.
There's more, from cookies to her famous crostinis, both peanut butter and jelly, and whipped sweet potato.
Did that girl from McCullough Homes ever dream of a business in the Inner Harbor?
No.
And for a cafe, you can't beat the view.
Before the sun comes up and I'm just looking out onto the water, like sometimes I literally stop and thank my ancestors because I don't forget that they were the ones on these ports and these waters.
Coming to the port.
Yes.
Shipped in.
That is something that I
like
do
cargo.
not take lightly. And the fact that I have this power and I'm turning something like this into generational success for my family is something that I feel like they're just looking up at me and saying, like, good job.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news, stream us right here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Dana Jacobson. We'll see you next time for another helping of The Dish.